15 years of marriage. I single-handedly built my husband Marcus's startup into a publicly traded company valued at billions. Yet, at my father's funeral, he brought the other woman, 5 months pregnant with a baby bump, and condescendingly forced me into a divorce. He pinched my chin, his eyes filled with contempt and disgust. Grace, you're just a barren old hen, cold and unyielding. I've had enough of you. To usurp everything we had built together, he bribed lawyers and fabricated evidence of my infidelity, forcing me to leave with nothing. I was thrown out of our home, wandering the streets. In a daze, I was hit head-on by an out-of-control truck. In the last moments, as my soul left my body, I saw Marcus, with the other woman in his arms, standing on a street corner not far away. He watched me fall into a pool of blood, not even bothering to call for an ambulance. The chilling hatred made me snap my eyes open. I had returned to the company's victory celebrating its IPO. Back to 3 days before he caused my death. Under the spotlights, my husband Marcus was raising his champagne flute. He spoke with feigned affection to the media below the stage. My greatest thanks go to my wife, Grace. Without her, there would be no Prosper today, and certainly no me, Marcus. I linked my arm through his, smiling even sweeter than him for the cameras. Yes, you certainly should be grateful to me. Therefore, as the company's largest shareholder, I've decided, as Tech's largest shareholder, I've decided. I paused, keenly aware of my fingers trembling slightly on Marcus's arm, fueled by intense exhilaration. Facing hundreds of astonished, shocked, and curious gazes from the audience, I enunciated the latter half of my statement, crystal clear. Effective immediately, Mr. Marcus will be relieved of all his duties at Prosper, including but not limited to the position of CEO. The moment my words concluded, the entire grand fell into a deathly silence. The air seemed to have been sucked out, solidifying into a heavy pane of glass. The flawless facade of affection on Marcus's face began to crack, inch by inch. He turned his head stiffly, all traces of love vanished from his eyes, replaced by the horror and fury of an impending volcanic eruption. Grace, are you ****ing insane? He seized my wrist, his grip so strong it felt like my bones would shatter, and hissed the words through clenched teeth. I winced in pain, but didn't struggle. Instead, I met his gaze and smiled coldly. I'm not insane, Marcus. I've never been clearer. I forcefully shook off his hand, turning to face the media and guests, who were already buzzing. My voice wasn't loud, but it was clear enough for everyone to hear. Everyone, this is neither a joke nor a lover's quarrel. Mr. Marcus, due to severe issues with his personal conduct and a series of illicit activities that have gravely harmed the company's interests, is no longer fit to hold any management position at Prosper. I, Grace, as the founder and absolute controlling shareholder of Prosper, hereby formally announce his dismissal today. My words detonated like a bombshell, throwing the opulent grand into complete disarray. My God! Firing the CEO at the IPO victory? What kind of drama is this? Personal conduct issues? Could it be? Mr. Marcus has been seeing someone on the side? I heard rumors that Mr. Marcus and the new intern were involved. Reporters, like sharks scenting blood, frantically aimed their cameras and microphones at us, flashbulbs exploding as if to devour us whole. Marcus's face flushed then paled, the last thread of his sanity finally snapping. Grace, you vicious bitch, he roared like a cornered beast. I built this company from the ground up. How dare you fire me? What right do you have? His enraged desperation was truly laughable. You built it up? I took the microphone, my voice laced with icy sarcasm. Then, Mr. Marcus, let me ask you, 15 years ago, who used the $500,000 given to me by my father as dowry to register the company's initial startup capital? And who transferred the core technological patent, developed after 3 grueling years in my university lab, to the company free of charge, making Prosper what it is today? Who, over these years, led the tech team, fighting tooth and nail on every single project? Who drank until her stomach gave out at business dinners to secure investments? And who mortgaged my father's property when the company's capital chain broke? You, Marcus. I took a step closer with each word, the hatred in my eyes almost solidifying. Besides putting on a performance for the media, what exactly have you done? My words were like daggers, each one hitting its mark, peeling away the facade he had maintained for years. Marcus's face went from red to white, then to green, finally turning ashen white. The murmuring from the audience grew louder. Many of the company's veterans and long-standing shareholders looked at him with expressions that had shifted from shock to disdain and understanding. He thought I had long forgotten these past events he had deliberately erased. He thought I was still the naive woman who would hand all credit to him just to preserve his pathetic male ego. Get him out of here. I couldn't be bothered to waste another word on him, gesturing directly to the security chief nearby. Grace! How dare you? Marcus's eyes were bloodshot, and he lunged toward me again. Two burly security guards immediately pinned him down, rendering him immobile. You bitch. You'll rot in hell. Do you think you can manage the company without me? Just you wait, I'll never let you off the hook. He thrashed wildly, spewing the most vile curses, completely devoid of his usual polished Mr. Marcus demeanor. I watched him passively as he was forcibly dragged toward the exit, as if enjoying a clown's clumsy performance. Just as he was dragged out of the grand doors, my gaze cut through the agitated crowd, landing precisely on a figure in the corner. A young woman in a pristine white dress, wearing delicate makeup, stood there in a panic, still holding a champagne flute she hadn't yet delivered. It was Chloe, the other woman he kept. In my past life, it was at this very victory that she first appeared before me, introduced as Marcus's distant cousin, looking utterly vulnerable and harmless. Now, her carefully crafted innocent face was etched with confusion and fear. She probably couldn't comprehend how this triumphant evening, which she had planned to use to assert her claim and subtly hint at my dethronement, had suddenly turned out this way. Our eyes met, and I slowly curved my lips into a cold, utterly emotionless smile. Hold on. The real show has just begun. You love watching a show, don't you? Soon, I'll make both of you the most pathetic protagonists in this drama. The gala ended abruptly. Ignoring the guests trying to pry for gossip, I only kept a few core directors and veteran shareholders in a lounge for an emergency short meeting. Ms. Grace, what exactly happened? It was so sudden. Rumors are flying everywhere. Indeed, changing command at such a crucial moment, especially on the cusp of an IPO, will surely affect the stock price. This is a grave strategic blunder. Mr. Peterson, head of the marketing department, looked worried. He was a company veteran and a close friend of my father's. Facing their questions and concerns, I calmly poured water for everyone, then bowed deeply. To all senior colleagues and fellow employees, today's incident was due to my oversight and caused you trouble, for which I apologize. My demeanor quieted the previously agitated meeting room. I looked up, my gaze sincere and firm. All of you here know what kind of person I, Grace, am. If hadn't crossed a line that impacted both the company and me personally, I would never have risked 15 years of our collective hard work in such a self-destructive manner. As for the specific reasons, please give me some time, I promise to provide a full explanation. After my statement, the expressions of several senior directors, who had long-standing ties with my father, softened considerably. What about the company now? We can't be without a leader. Starting tomorrow, I will temporarily assume the role of CEO. I swept my gaze across everyone, my voice calm and strong. All company operations will proceed as usual. I will personally handle all liaisons with the investment banks on Wall Street. I assure you all, Prosper's IPO plan will remain unchanged and unaffected. My calmness and decisiveness acted like a strong dose of reassurance, temporarily soothing everyone present. After all that was settled, it was already 2 a.m. when I returned to Marcus's and my home. This riverfront mansion in the city's exclusive uptown district, I designed myself. From blueprints to interior decor, every detail once held my heart and beautiful dreams for the future. Now, standing in the empty living room, I felt nothing but utter revulsion. In my past life, it was right here that Marcus had thrown divorce papers in my face. With no lingering attachment, I immediately took out my phone and made 2 calls. Hello, is this the locksmith service? Please send a technician to the Crest Villa. Hello, is this Speedy? Yes, I need your service now. Clear out all of a certain man's belongings from the villa and dump them at the curbside trash. Leave nothing behind. Hours later, as dawn broke, every trace of Marcus was scrubbed clean from the villa, as if he had never lived there. I had just emerged from the bathroom when the doorbell rang with frantic insistence, accompanied by Marcus's drunken roars. Grace! Open the door. You crazy bitch, get your ass out here. I slowly dried my hair with a towel, changed into a silk robe, and then walked to the entryway. Through the cold reinforced door, I watched his ugly, drunken face on the security camera feed. He reeked of alcohol, his expensive suit was crumpled, his tie askew, and his hair disheveled. He bore no resemblance to the usually impeccably dressed Mr. Marcus. This is my house. What right do you have to keep me out? Seeing no response, he began kicking the door forcefully, making loud thudding noises that startled the neighbors' dogs. I pressed the intercom button, my voice as cold as December ice. Mr. Marcus, you might be mistaken. On this villa's property deed, from beginning to end, there has only ever been my name, Grace. This was my premarital asset, fully purchased by my father for me back then, and it has nothing to do with you, Marcus. The kicking and shouting outside the door ceased abruptly. Marcus froze. He likely never imagined that I, who had always been so trusting and financially transparent with him, would have had this ace up my sleeve for 15 years. After a brief moment of shock, he immediately changed his tune, launching into his specialty, the sob story. His eyes bloodshot, his voice softened, laced with a perfectly pitched blend of grievance and plea. Grace, I was wrong. I lost my head yesterday. I only said those foolish things because I was drunk. We've been married for 15 years, you can't be so heartless. Have you forgotten our early days, struggling in a cramped apartment, sharing instant meals? Grace, please open the door, let's talk this through. Believe me, you're the only one for me. Listening to his utterly hypocritical repentance, my stomach churned with a mixture of revulsion and pity. Talk about what? Talk about how you pointed your finger at me at my father's funeral and called me a barren old hen? Or talk about how you watched me get run over by a car, yet couldn't even be bothered to call an ambulance? Outside the door, Marcus's breathing hitched instantly. In the darkness, I could clearly hear him gasp as he sobered up considerably, his tone tinged with an almost imperceptible dread. What are you rambling about? Too tired to play along, I hung up the call. All your things are in the curbside trash. Get lost, and don't ever defile my space again. I turned and walked into the living room, switching off the security camera feed, along with his face, which had cycled from red to green to ashen white, and our 15 years of absurd history. Marcus, this is just the first step. I will make you watch as everything you pride yourself on is systematically destroyed by my own hands. You think this is over? No, you'll soon discover that Hell's Gates have only just opened for you. The next day, I arrived at the company promptly. The nameplate on the CEO's office door had been changed overnight to my name, Grace. Employees who saw me in the hallways regarded me with a mix of awe, curiosity, and scrutiny, whispering and speculating among themselves. Ignoring them, I immediately convened a meeting with all department heads, swiftly arranging the tasks following Marcus's dismissal to stabilize morale. Immediately after the meeting, my executive assistant, Chen, knocked and entered, her expression peculiar. Ms. Grace, Mr. Marcus, he's here. And he's brought a Ms. Chloe, insisting on seeing you. He says if you don't see him, he'll cause a scene in the company lobby and make sure everyone knows how you're trying to ruin him. I raised an eyebrow. He couldn't hold his temper this quickly, bringing her directly to the company? It seems he's determined to burn bridges. Let them in. Soon, Marcus and Chloe stormed in, seething with anger. He hadn't slept, his eyes bloodshot, his face haggard, yet he still carried an inexplicable arrogance, as if he were still the high and mighty CEO. Beside him, Chloe, her baby bump quite noticeable, clung weakly to his arm, though her eyes held an undisguised hint of provocation and triumph as she looked at me. Grace, don't push your luck. Marcus slammed his hand on the desk the moment he entered, his roar more bluster than real strength. We're not Devo. RCD yet. According to marriage law, half of Prosper's shares are mine. You won't get away with trying to take it all. Chloe immediately chimed in, her voice so cloying it gave me goosebumps. That's right, Grace. You and Marcus were married after all, why be so ruthless? She gently stroked her baby bump, pointedly adding, even if you don't consider Marcus, you should at least think of our future heir to the Shin family, shouldn't you? You can't let the child be born to a father who has nothing. Calling me Grace and mentioning the Shin family heir with every other breath. In my past life, she used this innocent, vulnerable facade to garner everyone's sympathy, painting me as a jealous, vicious, crazy woman who couldn't tolerate someone else's success. Watching their ugly, synchronized act, I didn't get angry. Instead, I smiled, calmly taking a sip of the coffee beside me. The family heir? I let out a soft laugh, my gaze slowly drifting to Chloe's baby bump. Miss Chloe, are you certain that what's in your belly is actually from the Shin family? Chloe's face instantly went white. What do you mean? Marcus also exploded in fury. Grace, stop slandering her. Chloe is carrying my child. Whether I'm slandering her or not, you both know in your hearts. I set down my coffee cup, took a few photos from the drawer, and lightly tossed them in front of them. The photos showed Chloe intimately kissing a handsome young man at a bar, embracing at a hotel entrance, and even a few images of them arguing at the entrance of a private clinic's OB. I recognized the man, the only son of the nouveau riche Wang family from the West, a notorious playboy. Chloe's face instantly drained of color, her lips trembled, unable to utter a single word. Marcus stared at her in disbelief, then at the photos, completely stunned, as if a dark cloud of betrayal had descended upon him. You dared to cheat on me? Who the hell is this? He grabbed Chloe's hair, his eyes bloodshot, looking utterly insane. Chloe shrieked in pain, No. Marcus, listen to me. He was harassing me. You're the one I love. The baby in my belly really is yours. Enough. I coldly interrupted this squalid spectacle. I have no interest in your private affairs. I pushed a document toward Marcus. Let's discuss the half of the shares you're so fixated on. Marcus, as if grasping at a last straw, immediately released Chloe and fixated on the document, his eyes practically overflowing with greed. Grace, you're finally willing to talk? Let me tell you, Prosper is my 15 years of hard work. I won't sign for anything less than 30%. Watching his greedy face, the curve of my lips grew colder. Marcus, I can divorce you anytime. I leaned back in the spacious CEO's chair, speaking slowly. But before we discuss shares, shouldn't you explain something else to me first? My legal team audited the company's accounts for the past 3 years last night. What we found was quite shocking. I slapped another printout of bank statements in front of him. Over the past 2 years, you've embezzled no less than 30 million in company funds under various pretenses. You bought designer bags, luxury cars, and expensive jewelry for this Ms. Chloe. In fact, 2 months ago, you even used 15 million of the company's money to fully purchase a Riverview penthouse for her on the east. Marcus, this is embezzlement and misappropriation of public funds. The amount is so substantial, it's enough to put you behind bars for a very long time. Marcus looked at the clear bank statements, his face completely drained of color. He probably never dreamed that I, who had always trusted him implicitly and never questioned the company's finances, would suddenly audit the accounts and uncover such irrefutable evidence. He panicked, completely unnerved. Grace, no, Ms. Grace, listen to me, it's a misunderstanding. I'm not interested in your explanations right now, I interrupted him. I am giving you 2 options. First, I call the authorities now, and we'll meet in courthouse. Second, I paused, looking at his ashen face, and enunciated each word, sign the divorce papers and the stock transfer agreement, take your 30 million in dirty dealings, and your woman, and vanish from my sight immediately. From this moment on, Prosper will have absolutely nothing to do with you. Marcus trembled, as if all his strength had been drained from him. He glared at me, his eyes filled with resentment and malice. He knew I had won. And won absolutely. He clenched his fists, nails digging deep into his palms, seemingly making a last struggle. Just then, the internal phone on my desk rang. I pressed speakerphone, and the calm voice of Mr. Taylor, my lawyer, came through. Ms. Grace, I just received news that Marcus has filed for divorce in courthouse, demanding a division of marital assets, specifically the 51% of Prosper shares under your name. He's hired Ocean Law, known as the best in the business for asset division cases. Mr. Taylor's voice clearly echoed through the entire office from the other end of the line. Marcus's eyes lit up instantly. He seemed to see a glimmer of hope for a comeback. His previous dejection vanished, replaced by a triumphant sneer. He cut me off, shouting into the phone, Did you hear that, Grace? I've already sued. Your lawyer is right, Ocean Law, they win every case. Just wait until half of your fortune is taken. He thought that if he dragged this to courthouse, I wouldn't dare expose the embezzlement, as it would cause the company's stock price to plummet, making it a loss-loss situation. He thought he had found my weakness. Watching his smug, self-satisfied expression, I smiled. Speaking into the phone, I calmly said, Mr. Taylor, as expected. However, did you forget to tell Mr. Marcus something? Tell him that our company's latest company bylaws include an additional clause. That's right, Marcus, how could you know that I, Ding lived this life again, had prepared far more than just this? Did you really think hiring a top-tier law firm would guarantee your victory? You're about to learn what true despair feels like. What additional clause? Marcus's smile froze, and an ominous premonition began to gnaw at him. Mr. Taylor on the phone seemed to chuckle softly, his tone laced with a hint of pity for the ignorant. Mr. Marcus, it seems that as CEO of the company, you're not very familiar with your own company bylaws. Just 6 months ago, to mitigate the impact of executive personal risks on the company's IPO, Ms. Grace proposed, and it was approved by a unanimous vote at the shareholders' meeting, to add an additional clause to the company bylaws. Mr. Taylor's voice was unhurried, yet it struck Marcus's heart like a heavy hammer. The clause stipulates, any shareholder holding more than 5% of the company's stock, who, due to personal conduct including but not limited to marital infidelity, drug use, gambling, or white-collar crime, causes significant negative impact to the company's reputation or interests, shall have all their shares forcibly repurchased by the board at a total price of 1 Chinese. Mr. Marcus, your marital infidelity with Chloe for 2 years and the misappropriation of a colossal sum of company funds to purchase property for her are established facts, with both human testimony and physical evidence. Both of these actions constitute a severe breach of this clause. In other words, the 35% of shares under your name, theoretically, no longer belong to you. What? Marcus was struck as if by lightning, completely bewildered. He staggered back 2 steps, roaring in disbelief, impossible. I don't know about this. I never signed anything like that. Of course you signed it, Mr. Taylor's voice was merciless. This additional clause, as part of the company bylaws, required all shareholders' signatures to become effective. Your handwritten signature is on the last page, in black and white, holding full legal validity. As for why you don't remember, Mr. Taylor paused, his tone dripping with sarcasm. It's likely because at the time, all your focus was on how to carry on with Ms. Chloe, and calculating how to exploit Ms. Grace's trust to siphon money from the company. Marcus's face instantly drained of all color. He remembered. 6 months ago, there indeed was such a shareholders' meeting where I brought a stack of regulatory documents for him to sign, concerning the company's pre-IPO requirements. He was in a rush to meet Chloe then, and without even looking, he scrawled his signature. He thought they were merely trivial procedural documents. He never dreamed that amidst that thick stack of documents, I had planted a monumental bombshell, powerful enough to shatter him completely. It was a setup. A setup meticulously orchestrated for him, starting 6 months ago, or perhaps even earlier. This realization sent a chill through him, as if he'd plunged into an icy abyss. Grace, you plotted against me. He glared at me, his eyes filled with endless resentment and fear. I slowly rose, walked over to him, and looked down at him, as if watching a trapped animal, helpless to struggle. I plotted against you? I chuckled. Marcus, you were too greedy, and too arrogant. Did you think I was still the fool you could wrap around your finger? You forgot, I founded this company. Every rule here is set by me. Now, the game is over. I slapped a pre-prepared divorce papers and stock transfer agreement in front of him. Sign it. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind personally sending you to state, where you can reflect on just how many years you deserve for embezzling $30 million in public funds. Marcus trembled violently, staring at the agreement as if it were his death warrant. Chloe, beside him, was utterly stunned. She collapsed to the floor, her face ashen white. She probably never imagined that Marcus, who had promised her a future just moments before, would, because of her, fall into such irreversible ruin the next. No. I won't sign. Marcus suddenly let out a bestial roar, lunging at me with bloodshot eyes, as if to devour me alive. Grace! You vicious bitch! I'll kill you! Did you think, at this point, you still had room to resist? I was prepared. The moment he lunged, I stepped back and calmly pressed the intercom button on my desk. Security? CEO's office, assault in progress. Several burly security guards, already waiting outside, rushed in at the sound and firmly pinned the now irrational Marcus to the floor. Let me go. Grace! You'll rot in hell, you bitch! He continued to thrash wildly, spewing obscenities. I walked over to him, knelt down, and whispered in his ear, in a voice only we two could hear, Marcus, 15 years ago, you had nothing. I gave you everything. Today, I'm simply taking back everything I gave you. As for you, my gaze shifted to Chloe, who was trembling on the floor. Take your bastard child and get out of my sight. From now on, if I ever see you near this company again, I will make you and whatever is in your belly disappear permanently. My voice was soft, yet it carried an undeniable chill and menace. Chloe shivered violently in fear and scrambled out, looking as pathetic as a stray dog. Marcus was dragged out by security like a dead dog. As he passed me, he mustered all his strength and spat a mouthful of bloody saliva at me. Grace, just you wait. I'm not done yet. I'll make you regret this. I recoiled in disgust, then took out a tissue to wipe the splatter from the tip of my shoe. I'll be waiting. I watched him being dragged out of the office, the smile on my lips growing colder and colder. Regret? Marcus, the one who will truly regret this is you. I will make you pay the most agonizing price, in endless remorse and suffering, for the crimes you committed against me in our past life. After dealing with the two of them, I called my executive assistant, Chin. Please. You bring Mr. Taylor from the legal department here. Also, notify the PR department to prepare a statement. I want the entire internet to know that Marcus got what he deserved, and he left with nothing. Ultimately, with the lawyers as witnesses, Marcus signed the agreement. More than losing everything, he feared losing his freedom. That afternoon, Prosper's official account released a stern statement, detailing how Marcus had been dismissed by the board for serious misconduct including embezzlement and misappropriation of company funds, and had voluntarily relinquished all shares under his name, severing all ties with the company. The moment the statement was released, public opinion was in an uproar. Netizens who had previously sympathized with Marcus immediately turned on him, savagely condemning him. Marcus was utterly disgraced. However, I still underestimated his shamelessness and madness. Just when I thought he would settle down, a larger storm was quietly brewing. 2 days later, an article titled "The Dollar CEO's Vicious: How Husband Ruthlessly" went viral across major online platforms. In the article, Marcus shed his greedy facade, tearfully accusing me of crimes. He painted me as a tyrannical, fiercely jealous, wicked woman who stole his hard work and used despicable means to take everything from him. He portrayed himself as a perfect victim, enduring humiliation for love and family, only to be ruthlessly abandoned. He twisted the truth, claiming the hardships of our early startup days were solely his achievement. He spun my secured investments as his own network. He even shamelessly claimed that the technological patent my father left me was completed under his guidance. At the end of the article, he included an old photo of us from university. In it, I smiled shyly, my eyes brimming with admiration and adoration for him. 15 years of affection ultimately couldn't withstand her thirst for power and money. I want nothing else, I only ask that she let me go and allow me to leave in peace. This sensational exposé, riddled with holes yet incredibly inflammatory, coupled with his Oscar-worthy performance, actually managed to elicit sympathy from many people once again. Instantly, the internet erupted with criticism against me, and even extreme netizens dug up my home address and contact information, subjecting me to abuse and threats. My executive assistant, Chen, held her tablet, trembling with rage. Ms. Grace, this is utter nonsense. He's twisting the truth. Should we send a legal notice immediately? No rush, I said, looking at the offensive comments, my expression terrifyingly calm. Let him jump around a bit longer. The higher public opinion builds, the harder he will fall. I called the PR director. Please schedule an appearance for me on the financial news channel's flagship program In Depth. Tell them I'll give them an exclusive on all the inside details regarding Prosper's equity changes. Marcus, you love playing games, don't you? Fine. Then I'll play along. I'll build the biggest stage in the country, where you'll personally experience, before billions of viewers, what utter disgrace and irreversible ruin truly feel like. You think losing shares is the end? No, that's just the beginning of your nightmare. The next day, just as the public condemnation against me reached its peak, with even aggressive justice warriors protesting with banners downstairs at Prosper, the company's official account released an interview preview on schedule. Tonight at p.m., Prosper CEO Grace will appear on In Depth, publicly responding for the first time to the marital breakdown with her ex-husband, Mr. Marcus, and revealing the full truth. The announcement immediately ignited the entire internet. On the night of the live broadcast, online viewership surpassed 30 million, setting a new historical record for the program. Everyone wanted to see how I, this vicious femme fatale, would try to defend myself. BF. For the cameras, I wore a sharp white power suit, my makeup flawless, exuding a powerful aura, showing no sign of being affected by public opinion. The host, a leading anchor in the industry known for her sharp style, cut straight to the chase. Ms. Grace, what would you like to say regarding all of Mr. Marcus's accusations against you in this sensational exposé? I offered a faint smile to the camera. Everything I want to say is right here. The moment I finished speaking, a video began to play on the large screen behind me. It was security footage from the day of my father's funeral. The video showed Marcus, with a heavily pregnant Chloe in his arms, arrogantly forcing me to divorce him. It showed how he pointed his finger at me, slowly, clearly, uttering the words, "a barren old hen." The images were sharp, the audio clear. Every word was like a resounding slap, hitting Marcus and his supporters squarely in the face. The live comments section immediately exploded. Holy crap! What a turn of events! Bringing the other woman to crash his father-in-law's funeral to make demands? Who does that? He's an animal. A barren old hen? Gross. Is that something a CEO of a publicly traded company in the 21st century would say? What a jerk. My heart goes out to Ms. Grace. Her father just passed away, and she has to face a double betrayal from her husband and the other woman. How terrible. I ignored the frantic scrolling of the live comments and released the second piece of evidence. It was a paternity test results, along with several video clips of Chloe and the wealthy heir from the West in intimate settings at hotels and restaurants. Mr. Marcus accused me of being narrow-minded, unable to tolerate a Marcus family heir. But I honestly don't know why an illegitimate child, whose real father is unknown, should inherit my Grace family's fortune. This time, the entire internet erupted. Biggest scandal of the year. So was cuckolded by the other woman, and he still wanted his wife to raise the kid? I'm dying of laughter. This guy is the subject of jokes about paternity and eco-friendly child-rearing, the ultimate cuckold. I felt genuine sympathy for him before, and now I feel like a fool. Serves him right. For him to leave with nothing is getting off easy. Public opinion instantly reversed dramatically. Looking at the back-end analytics, the comments section under Marcus's sensational exposé had shifted from sympathy to overwhelming scorn and curses. But I knew this wasn't enough. I wanted to ensure he would never recover. I brought out my final ace up my sleeve. Bank statements spanning 2 years, hotel stay records, and the purchase agreement for the Riverview penthouse under Chloe's name. The payer's signature on the contract was clearly Marcus. Mr. Marcus claimed I made him leave with nothing, leaving him homeless and forced to couchsurf at a friend's place. But to my knowledge, over the past 2 years, he spent no less than $30 million on Chloe, and all of this money came from his embezzled company funds. I'm curious, how did a man who supposedly had nowhere to live find the money to spend lavishly on another woman? I have already submitted all these pieces of evidence to the authorities and the Financial Crimes Unit. I believe the law will provide a just accounting to me, and to all the shareholders of Prosper. As my voice trailed off, the entire room fell silent. Marcus, this time, I'd like to see how you'll recover. What awaits you is not just being utterly disgraced, but also the cold prison bars. And soon, you'll realize your real nightmare was only just beginning. After the live broadcast ended, Marcus became the biggest laughingstock and public enemy online. Not only did he cheat on his wife, but he was also cuckolded by the other woman. In the end, he tried to play the victim for sympathy, only to be utterly crushed by my irrefutable evidence. Labels like this biggest, the king, the dig, and the celebrity were firmly plastered onto him. He was utterly disgraced. However, a cornered animal's last stand. Just when I thought he would be taken into custody by the police for the embezzlement case and no longer be able to cause trouble, something went wrong within the company. The core data for Project, our secretly developed flagship project, was stolen and sold at a high price to our arch-rivals, Vanguard. Project was a new project I spearheaded after my rebirth, based on the technological trends of the next 5 years. It represented Prosper's most crucial strategic layout for the coming decade. If our competitors launched it first, the blow to us would be devastating. Panic spread throughout the company, and several veteran shareholders were frantic with worry, constantly flocking to my office. Ms. Grace, what are we going to do? There must be an inside trader. We need to find out immediately. I looked at the anxious faces in the conference room, my heart cold. Besides, I couldn't think of anyone else. Although I had kicked him out of the company, he had managed it for years, and he undoubtedly still had loyalists and informants within. He was familiar with all company secrets and knew the critical importance of Project to Prosper. This was his most malicious revenge against me. In my previous life, he used this exact tactic, colluding with outsiders, to gradually undermine my authority and eventually force me out of the company. In this life, he was repeating the same trick. Too bad I was no longer the unsuspecting Grace he once knew. Right in front of everyone, I immediately reported it to the police. The authorities quickly launched an investigation, but the other party had covered their tracks meticulously, and the trail went cold for a time. Just when everyone in the company was at a loss, Ethan, a core engineer from the technical department, knocked on my office door late one night. I had personally promoted him, and he was one of TH's project leads for Project. Ms. Grace, I'm sorry. He placed a USB drive on my desk, his face full of shame. It was Marcus. He found me. My heart sank, but I kept a poker face. What did he tell you? He gave me $1 million and asked me to hand over Project's core algorithms. He knew my mother was hospitalized recently and desperately needed money. Ethan's voice was filled with struggle and pain. Ms. Grace, I betrayed your trust, but I really had no choice. I looked at his bloodshot eyes, without a hint of reproach. Because all of this was within my expectations. From the moment Marcus launched his smear campaign, I knew he wouldn't give up easily. He was bound to target Project. And was his most likely target. I sighed and pushed the USB drive back toward him. Ethan, this isn't your fault. It's me who put you in a difficult position. I looked at him and slowly said, now, I need you to help me with something, a plan to turn the tables on him. Ethan's head shot up, a flicker of shock in his eyes. I smiled and handed him another black USB drive. Take the money he gave you. Then, give him this. Ethan looked at me, seemed to understand, and a new light ignited in his eyes. He nodded heavily. Ms. Grace, I understand. You think you can cut off the lifeblood and destroy Prosper and me? Marcus, you underestimate me. The trap you dug will ultimately bury only yourself. And I, myself, will bury you for good. Upon receiving the core algorithms, Marcus was overjoyed. He immediately handed the code over to Daniel, the CEO of Vanguard. Daniel was his university classmate, they had always been both friends and rivals. Now, for their mutual benefit, they found common ground immediately. Vanguard's technical team conducted an initial analysis of the code and, confirming its authenticity, Daniel was ecstatic. He immediately paid Marcus $5 million and promised him the position of vice at Vanguard once everything was successful. Marcus felt as if he could already see the day he would make a comeback and trample me underfoot. He even eagerly sent me a mocking text message while I was still in custody. Grace, you never expected this, did you? Your most prized project is about to belong to Daniel. Just wait for your company to go bankrupt, and then you can come bring me food in state. Ha 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 ha. I looked at that text message and simply smiled faintly. Soon after, Vanguard made a high-profile announcement that they had achieved a groundbreaking technological breakthrough and would hold a press conference next week to launch a new intelligence system called Lingyun, claiming it would lead the next AI era. As soon as the news broke, Prosper's stock price plummeted, hitting rock bottom for 3 consecutive days, with its market value evaporating by nearly $10 billion. Everyone believed Prosper was doomed this time. Several of my older shareholders even sighed in my office, advising me to prepare for the company's bankruptcy and liquidation and to cut our losses. Ms. Grace, give up. We can't win. There's always another chance to fight if you preserve what you have. But I just smiled and reassured them, uncles, don't worry. Let's wait and see how things play out. The real show is only just beginning. My calmness, in their eyes, was merely the last stand before defeat. They didn't know that the net I had cast was now ready to be pulled in. Marcus, Daniel, are you ready for the big gift I'm about to give you? You'll soon learn about the fine line between heaven and hell. Vanguard's press conference was grand and extravagant. They booked the largest exhibition hall at the Metropolitan Center, inviting hundreds of domestic and international media outlets and top industry professionals. The display was several times larger than our own listing victory. Daniel, CEO of Vanguard, dressed in a bespoke suit, stood on stage, radiant with confidence. His words were full of mockery and disdain for Prosper. Some companies are stuck in their ways, complacent, resting on past laurels, and are destined to be phased out by time. And we at Vanguard will use the Lingyun to usher in a brand new intelligent era. The audience erupted in applause. Countless media and industry insiders waited to witness the birth of a new king and the end of an old era. Marcus also sat in the front row of the VIP section. Watching speak so eloquently on stage, his face showed unconcealed triumph and satisfaction. He even provocatively gave a thumbs-down gesture to the live camera. That was his declaration of war against me, and his announcement of victory. I sat in my CEO's office, casually watching this farce put on by clowns through the large screen on the wall. My executive assistant, Chen, stood beside me, anxious and with sweaty palms. Ms. Grace, our stock price. It's hit rock bottom. If we don't find a solution soon, we might really. What's there to be afraid of? I picked up the red wine from my desk and swirled it gently. Don't forget, tonight, we are the stars of the show. As the press conference reached its most critical segment, Daniel proudly announced a live demonstration of their highly anticipated Lingyun. The lights in the hall dimmed, and all eyes focused on the gigantic screen at the center of the stage. The technicians backstage pressed the launch button. However, what appeared on the screen was not the cool system interface they had envisioned. Instead, it was an unsettling blood red. Then, a line of large white characters, accompanied by eerie background music, slowly emerged in the center of the screen. We thank Vanguard and Mr. Marcus for spending a fortune to provide such a spectacular warm-up act for the launch of our company's project. The message was signed with Prosper's logo and a playful smiley face emoji. The entire hall fell silent for a moment. Then, pandemonium erupted. Daniel's face instantly turned a deep shade of crimson. He furiously roared at the backstage crew, "WH. That's going on? What the hell is this? Turn it off. Now." But no matter what the technicians backstage did, that line of text clung to the screen like a relentless torment, mocking their stupidity and greed. At the same time, I pressed a button on my desk. Prosper's official account simultaneously released a detailed statement, tagging both Vanguard's and the authorities' official accounts. In the statement, we elaborated on how Marcus maliciously colluded with Vanguard to steal our company's commercial secrets. We also included all the evidence I had given to the police, including recordings of Marcus's transaction with Ethan and Marcus's phone calls with Daniel. It turned out that what I had Ethan give Marcus was not the real core algorithms at all. Instead, it was a Trojan horse program I had planted long ago, named Gate of Hell. Once this program ran on their servers, it would not only expose their disgrace but also, stealthily, package and transmit all the data from their computers, including all their company's confidential files and financial data, to my server. This move not only made Vanguard's scheme backfire spectacularly, turning them into a laughingstock for the entire industry, it also provided me with irrefutable evidence of their commercial espionage, as well as years of tax evasion and illegal business practices. What awaited them would be severe legal penalties and astronomical compensation. The press conference venue had descended into utter chaos. Police and financial crimes investigators flooded in from all directions, sealing off the entire hall. Daniel's face was ashen, and he collapsed onto the stage. Marcus, meanwhile, was like a mad dog, frantically searching through the crowd, hysterically screaming my name. "Grace! Grace! You bitch! Get out here!" I watched his desperate and twisted face on the screen, slowly stood up, and walked to the huge floor-to-ceiling window with my champagne flute. Below, the city lights sparkled like a river. Oh. F stars. Marcus, the game is truly over. And your hell has only just begun. You thought this was the end I had prepared for you? A few days later, the courthouse opened. Marcus, as the main culprit, was sentenced to 15 years in federal prison for commercial espionage, embezzlement, and other combined charges. Daniel, CEO of Vanguard, was sentenced to 10 years in federal prison. His company was slapped with an astronomical fine and ordered into bankruptcy and liquidation. The moment the verdict was announced, Marcus saw me in the public gallery. His eyes were filled with despair and venom, like a mad dog that had lost everything and had its spirit utterly broken. He used all his strength to roar at me across the railing, "Grace! I'll haunt you even from the grave." I merely glanced at him indifferently and then looked away. Haunt me from the grave? Marcus, you don't even deserve to be a ghost. I will make sure you live a long, miserable life in prison, watching with your own eyes how wonderful my life becomes without you. As for Chloe, upon learning that Marcus had lost everything and was incarcerated, she quietly underwent an abortion. Afterward, she tried to rekindle things with the wealthy heir who got her pregnant, only to be publicly beaten by his original wife and her people. The video went viral online, known to everyone, and she eventually slunk out of the city, vanishing without a trace. After the storm, Prosper's stock price soared, repeatedly reaching new highs. I seized the opportunity to officially release the real project, which was a huge success. It instantly propelled Prosper to the top of the industry, a position that would be unshakable for the next decade. A year later, I graced the cover of Time as the youngest self-made female billionaire in Asia. The day the magazine was published, I had my assistant buy 100 copies. Each was accompanied by a signed photo of me and sent to the state where Marcus was held. I wanted him to wake up every day and see my success, knowing it was built upon his failure and foolishness. I wanted the word regret to become a relentless torment, gnawing at every inch of his soul until the end of his life. Several years later, I occasionally heard news of Marcus from a correctional officer friend. Apparently, his behavior in prison was very poor. He repeatedly violated rules, and his sentence extended repeatedly. Deserted by everyone, with no visitors, his mind gradually deteriorated. He often cried my name in the dead of night, sometimes cursing, sometimes weeping in repentance. But what did that have to do with me? It was an autumn evening. I finished work at the company and drove home. The glow of the setting sun painted the entire city in a warm, golden hue. The radio in the car was playing a soothing jazz music. My phone rang. It was my personal physician. "Congratulations, Ms. Grace. Your medical report is in. Your body is very healthy, and all your indicators are excellent. The hormonal imbalance caused by prolonged fatigue and mental stress has completely recovered. The doctor paused, then chuckled, "You can prepare to have your own baby now." My hand, gripping the steering wheel, paused slightly. A baby. In a daze, I remembered my previous life, lying in a pool of blood, watching Marcus's cold departing back. At that time, I thought my life had ended with a humiliating and resentful full stop. I never imagined fate would give me a chance to rewrite it. I hung up the phone, rolled down the car window, and the gentle evening breeze brushed against my cheek. I looked out at the vibrant sunset, and a subtle smile curved my lips. Marcus, in this life, his 15 years behind bars, my 15 years of new beginnings. This was the best ending I had written for both him and myself. As for the future, a new future, full of infinite possibilities, belonged to me, and to me alone. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments, so feel free to share your opinions. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.